views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
It's one of the most recognized and influential community-based organizations in the country. The concept came about in 1963 in New York City when a group of concerned African-American men began to meet to explore ways of improving conditions in their community. And since its inception, their vision has materialized to be shared by more than 10,000 members. Stay with us to learn more about about what this great American organization is doing for communities all across the country. We're talking about 100 Black Men coming up on Perspectives.
What's on your mind?
Let 'em know.
What's on your mind? What's on your mind?
Let 'em know. Anything relevant to life, you bring it to the table. Whether you make a move solo or a movement with a stable. No fables, you speak on your decisions. Cause in the long run, it's your voice, your views, your vision. Keeping it real with many messages for you to know. This ain't radio, but DJ runs the show. Entertainment, he rocks it. Politics, he locks it. The host with the most would handle any topic. Don't forget to share your perspective with shines of light. Cause it might make a difference in someone else's life.
Make a difference.
What's your perspective?
Express what's in your heart and your mind. Share your perspective.
What's your perspective? Let 'em know.
And hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Perspectives. I am Darren Jaime. We thank you for watching. And of course, we invite you every week to join us here on Perspectives on BronxNet Channel 67. And we also invite you to check us out on social media. Get us on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. And then you also get me on my professional page, Darren C. Jaime. You'll find out more information about what's happening on our show. And we invite you to stay connected to us as we tell you what's happening in and around our community and also our nation. Coming up on this edition of Perspectives, we've got a very special guest. Our guest today has over 25 years of executive leadership experience and community activism, and previously served as the executive board chairman of the worldofmoney.org. In 2015, he was appointed president and chief executive officer of 100 Black Men Long Island chapter. And this past June, he was voted on the National Board of Directors for the 100 Black Men of America. We welcome back to the show Curtis Jacobs. And Curtis, good to have you here, man. Welcome back, man.
Hey, good being here, Darren. Thank
Good. Enjoying the summer?
you. Absolutely.
Good.
Absolutely. My favorite time of the year.
It is, me too, as well. Good to have you. So listen, I want to talk to you a little bit about 100 Black Men because obviously you guys are at the front and center of dealing with a lot of things. And particularly, we talk about the African-American community, dealing with some of the issues and the challenges that we're currently dealing with. Give us the latest as to what you guys are up to.
All right. So, I mean, of course, there's a number of systemic issues that we have to work through. And our mantra, the 100 Black Men, is what they see is what they'll be. Mm-hmm. Right? Real men given real time, which we got. Nike executives gave us that mantra to march from. We believe that if we focus on the 4 core tenets, which is education, mentoring, health and wellness, and economic empowerment, with that leadership wrapper, we can, I guess, cure some of the ills that currently resonate throughout our community. Mm-hmm. But it's really important that we correct some of these challenges ourselves. Right. We want to be out front and center. We're not asking for folks to come in here and solve these problems for us. We want to eradicate that stigma that we're not involved as Black men, because we are involved.
And when you talk about the involvement, obviously we talk in this show, we've debunked this stereotype because it says that Black men are not involved in the lives of their children. We know the stereotypes that existed. In fact, it shows that we're more than sometimes even white men involved in the lives of our children, not just as parents, but also as mentors. And I know 100 Black Men spends a lot of time really dealing with the mentorship component of trying to meet the needs and address the needs of some of our young men.
Well, mentoring is the number one tenet. And what's been happening, there's been this evolution process. And we're not just mentoring children now. There are parents who come to our Saturday Academy and they are asking for guidance. They're humbling themselves. Like, look, I became a parent at a very young age. This is tough. I need some help. So we started crafting some workshops directly geared toward parents, and the participation rate has been outstanding.
When you talk about parents, obviously there's a big gap between the parents of today and the parents of yesterday. Our
Right.
parents were, my parents very intense and, not the same amount of challenges. I'll say different.
Right.
How do you address those challenges, and what is the message that you give to those parents? Because, that's the backbone for really changing the whole family dynamic.
Okay, so it's a multi-pronged approach, and I don't think we're perfect at it. We learn as we go. And to your point, yeah, parenting is different. And I'm going to go back to some of my southern roots. Big Mama is sometimes 36 years old now.
Right.
Right. So you have 36-year-old grandparents. A couple of folks. Kids having children at 16. You have that now, and I think at a time where you could have been a single parent in a single parent household, working one job to support yourself and raising your kids, you're home when your kids came home from school. Today, a lot of these parents, because wages have been stagnated, they're working two jobs. The kids are latchkey kids, and they need more help from the community to move forward.
When you talk about, you're the president of Long Island's chapter, and when you talk about Long Island, people have this certain, stigma about Long Island, compared to New York City. Do you find that the challenges remain the same or different?
Well, so I live on the Queens-Long Island border. I own businesses in Harlem. I'm very active in the Harlem community as well. And I partner with a lot of folks out in Long Island, Suffolk County, Nassau County, as well as with Mike Garner, the president of the New York City chapter. So I have my ear to the ground, pretty good. And there are some little cultural nuances, that exist within folks migrating perhaps from Brooklyn, and you may have lived in a very clustered community, and now you move out to Long Island, you're in a cul-de-sac, and you think your life has changed. And you might be doing a little better, but you might be a minority in your own community. But at the end of the day, when your child hits the road and they're on that parkway, they may have the same challenges as some kid in the Bronx may have, if they're pulled over by the police and they're not prepared to respond accordingly.
So what do you do in terms of empowering young people out there on the island?
Information, and challenging them. You have to challenge them. Today, young people, a great deal of them, they walk around with these little powerful tools in their pockets called iPhones, Samsung phones,
Galaxies, yes.
Galaxy 7, I guess it is now. I'm not doing a pitch for them, but these are very powerful tools. And a lot of times, if you ask someone a question, and I know they have that device in their hand or in their pocket or in their pocketbooks, not having an answer for me is unacceptable. You have to challenge them to think outside the box. You have to challenge them to be, I want them to be, intellectually curious. Search for those answers. There are a lot of things, there's social media that's competing for their time, competing for their mind, and they need to decide what's important to them.
So how do you push the envelope for them?
Use examples, right? So, one workshop we focused on a young immigrant girl from she of Indian descent, East Indian descent. She was in Ohio, and I can't remember the exact name of the app, but it was an app because she was concerned about bullying. And so it's an app that parents can put on their phones. And this young lady was in coding, and she's done TED Talks. And forgive me, I can't remember her name. She's done these TED Talks, and the app will send a warning to a parent if if their child is about to upload something that's inappropriate on Facebook, or it has some algorithms where it can read the words, and if these words are insulting or anything like that, it'll send a message to the parent and then tell the parent what's about to happen. Now, some can say that's a bit intrusive, but we have young people who are committing suicides because they've been bullied.
Right.
So we give examples like that. So here's how you can change the world. Here's how you can use your desire to get engaged in the coding as a young person, because she's 15 years old. Okay. She's 15 years old. She's been offered a significant scholarship. She's been asked to speak all around the world. Okay, she's a game changer at 15. And I realize in my, now approaching my 6th decade of life, I haven't done anything yet, right? Martin Luther King died at 39. So just keep raising the bar.
I want to come back after the break. After the break, I want to talk a little bit about economic empowerment and education.
Great.
All right, take a quick break. Come back with more with Curtis Jacobs when we return, talking about the 100 Black men and the work that they do. Stay with us. Coming up in a minute.
Wow, these are really good.
You act surprised. Practice makes perfect.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who don't need perfection. They need you.
I can't change, even if I tried, even if I wanted to.
And we're back on Perspectives. Thank you for watching. Our guest in studio, Curtis Jacobs, president of 100 Black Men's Long Island chapter. And been talking a little bit about the work of 100 Black Men. And as we were talking before the break, I said I wanted to get to a couple of things. Number one, economic empowerment. We know as a community, financial literacy is lacking. What are we doing in terms of, and you know, and I speak specifically we, but what is 100 Black Men doing in terms of really helping to bridge that gap? Because I think when you look at whites, you know that in a lot of white families, financial literacy is taught from the beginning. If you talk to black families, we say we don't talk about money until we owe it.
Right. Well, again, you know, one of the 4 tenets is economic empowerment, and we do that in a number of ways through educational programs. Financial literacy is one of them. We try to get our young people early, but we also deal with we'll partner with other community organizations to bring awareness around predatory lending, right? Because if you're not aware and you're signing these contracts, and we've seen this in Southeast Queens, where a lot of folks, older women have owned their homes, husband may have passed on, or the wife may have passed on in some instances. They leaky roof, $1,500 repair, and some unscrupulous lender came in, or a contractor, and forced them to take out connived them into taking out of a double mortgage, and they're on Social Security,
Right.
and taking out way more money they needed to take out, and then they end up losing their home. I mean, and this has happened over and over again. Some of that is part of the work that I did, during my time with World of Money, which I still think is an outstanding organization. But 100 Black Men, we have, chapter by chapter, they specialize. They'll design programs that are specific to their location. The other thing is, the minority business enterprise opportunities that exist. I think President Mike Garner has done a significant job in creating awareness in that space. We're going to be holding some forums out in Long Island. In my new role on the board of directors, I'm responsible for 13 cities up in the Northeast corridor, where we're going to coordinate efforts to get more minority businesses registered, certified, prepared to go in and compete for contracts.
And that's a big thing. We were just talking about this on the last show about how many of these opportunities are out there, particularly for minorities and the MWBs, but sometimes we're just not in proper position.
Right. So it's a couple of things. And these programs, some of the programs are out there. Some of them are, there's some systemic flaws in the execution of those programs. I'm just going to be very blunt. I think some of the programs are insincere, but it's our job is to take all the arguments off the table.
Right.
What's the minimum standards? Do these businesses have these minimum standards? Can they go put all the cards on the table and compete? And that's how we want to educate them. I think the cornerstone to economic empowerment is strong small businesses, because these are businesses in the community. They are owned by people of the community, and they will employ people in the community. And that will create a nice cycle of wealth. And if we can educate these small businesses on how to reinvest their earnings, that'll be even better.
Encouraging people to be entrepreneurs. Obviously, that's, it's a lot of people want to do it, but don't. Talk to us about the work in creating an option for people and letting them know about, listen, this is something that you can do and it's achievable. We watch other communities, and the famous line that I've always said is, we'll take a job, but other people go to own a business.
That's true, and again, I think there's some cultural things, right? I saw the movie Detroit yesterday, right? And, powerful movie, and the genesis of that is the folks migrating up from the South for opportunities to work in a factory. My father came here from North Carolina. Come in, get a job, don't be in Jim Crow. And I think over a period of time, you know, that kind of became the only way, right? Whereas, you know, we may have other folks from within the African diaspora, be it from Africa or the Caribbean, who are more entrepreneurial focused, because if you work in the straw market, you're used to hustling and selling and things like that, and you may not have the relationships to go and get into a union, right? So people do what they're comfortable doing. I think we need to change that paradigm, and I think we need to focus more on being entrepreneurs, and I think the younger generation will probably do a better job of that because of the technology that's available to them. We're already in the gig economy. Anybody can, you know, sign up for Uber. They can you know, sign up for TaskRabbit, Fiverr. So we're in a gig economy now, and we're just letting the young people know that that's a possibility, as well as the parents who are challenging and raising their kids. There are opportunities for them to spend more time at home because they can do something remotely that's more quality time with their families.
So, as president of Long Island's chapter, I know you have responsibilities. Congratulations, though. You're on the board of directors for the National.
Yeah, thank you.
What does that entail?
A lot of work. You know, be careful what you ask for, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, I'm always happy to serve, and you know, I was honored to first be asked to run by our outgoing Northeast District head Jared Douglas, who's moved on to some other things, and you know, to have the support of the chairman Curly Dossman and you know, the rest of our district. It was an honor. Now it's just roll up your sleeves and coordinate with these 13 chapters that, you know, run from Syracuse, Connecticut, Jersey. We have 3 in Maryland. We have 2 in Maryland with DC, 3 in Virginia, and Philadelphia and Pittsburgh. So it's a lot of work. We want to. I think one of the first things we want to do is start singing from the same hymnal, because there are cultural nuances. So I think the chapter presidents, they run programs that are, you know, they're location specific. Now they're still fit in the framework, but there's flexibility within that framework because it's what's important for that immediate community. But we want to look at and see where we have these synergies where we can scale up and run some more broader type of programming.
We'll come back and talk more with Curtis Jacobs, get some final thoughts from him, and wrap our conversation up. Stay tuned. You're watching Perspectives with Darren Hyman.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. You know, but it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, you know, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
How can I help my daughter with her reading?
Searching for help with Dachshund Reading.
No.
Let me try. Sarah's bright, but when she's reading, she has trouble sounding out words.
Playing world music.
What?
I give up.
Wait, I was trying to show you how Sarah feels every day. Frustrating, isn't it? Redirecting to understood.org.
Join parents and experts at understood.org, a free online resource about learning and attention issues to help your child thrive.
Well, Thomas, you've got prediabetes. But with more exercise and a change in diet, it can be reversed.
I've tried exercising. It just makes me hungry for bacon.
I love bacon, too. And who really likes to exercise?
Not me.
Me neither.
Nobody.
So we're good?
What? Oh, you still have prediabetes. Big time.
Back on Perspectives, continue our conversation with Curtis Jacobs, who is the president of the Long Island chapter of 100 Black Men. And Talk about education for a quick second, because obviously kids are getting ready to go back to school, but we've seen some dramatic changes in the educational system. Some things good, some things bad. I know you got a perspective on that all by itself, but how are you guys really tackling the topic of education?
We just had last week, as a matter of fact, we had a strategy session with our incoming board of directors and several, I'd say about 20 chapter presidents who are in pretty strategic communities to discuss our plans for this coming cycle. Education was way up there. You know, one of the things that I'll be doing out in Long Island is kind of working with an organization called EdChoice. And what they do is they aggregate data on the educational system, public school system, charter school system, private school system, and they prepare this data, and it's for us, it's up to us to see how we want to share this data with the community. But we want to host some events so we can make this data accessible to people in the community so they can make informed decisions. I'm not here to advocate for public schools or charter schools or private schools. I think people have to decide what works for them.
Right.
You know, my kids have gone to all three, and you know, I think it worked fine if you had that opportunity. But what we're finding is you shouldn't be tied to a zip code. You know, and that's just, if you're not blessed enough to be in a certain zip code, your child shouldn't be shouldn't have this significant disadvantage. And I think if we can get the right information out to the parents, they can be empowered to advocate on behalf of themselves, be it through Twitter or whatever type of other social media.
Right, and you know, awareness is big, and getting people aware of the opportunities to do public, private, and charter. I mean, public, of course, but charter continues to be a big topic of conversation.
Yeah, it's controversial.
Yeah,
you know, you get some folks. You know, look, I mean, I think there's pros and cons to everything, but I mean, some of the stats, if you look at what in some cities, it might be $16,000 a year to undereducate a child, and maybe if you know they're pushing these coupons where it may be $6,000 in a private school or a charter school. So at least we can begin to have a conversation around why is there a $10,000 delta? Right? And asking for, there may be a logical reason why, but we should be able to ask the question.
Yeah. Well, talk to me about the conference, because you just came out of the conference just recently, and give us a little bit of the highlights.
Well, gained some weight because it was in New Orleans, so the food was good.
Yes.
So, you know, we had, you know, brothers come in from all over the country, UK, and you know, this conference was special because it was an election year. So, you know, we had a national election to elect a new chairman and a vice chairman and a number of board of directors. So the way we're structured, we have chairman, vice chairman, we have secretary, treasurer, and then we have 5 men at large to work around the country, and we have 5 district reps. So I'm on the board of directors, and I'm a district rep in the Northeast. And my district has a population, the chapters support a population of about 6.7 million people. So we have a huge geographic spread, and right now what I'm trying to do is just kind of understand, what's the poverty rate, the holistic poverty rate, unemployment rate of African Americans in that community, within our district, and see how we can put a strategy against that. But we talked a lot about some of this work and how we want to go about this with our incoming board chairman, Thomas Dortch, who's been active on the scene, and he's the man down in Atlanta, and he's served as a chairman before, and he's coming back now because we're at a really pivotal time. We have a new administration in. We're in a very polarized climate, and the member body felt it was important to bring to vote, Chairman Dortch in, and so their votes were cast, and that was a decision made. I'm very grateful to outgoing Chairman Curly Dossman, who's been serving for over 20 plus years, and he's a corporate executive, and he's been in politics, and he's tired. So we need to allow him to get a rest, but he'll still be on the board as a past chairman.
So where do you go from here? I mean, obviously there's a lot of work that still needs to be done.
Well, some of the main things that I realize we have to do is, we need to recruit more. We need more people engaged. And, in some chapters within the 100 Black Men Network, it's very easy. People understand, they recognize the brand. And areas like New York, believe it or not, is a lot more difficult because just you're competing against a lot of other organizations that do some level of mentoring, things like that. So it's redefining our value proposition. We know what we do in the community. We know how we stand, but we have Gen X's, Gen Z's now coming along, and they may not be as familiar with us as the baby boomers are, and that's something that we have to deal with.
Before we get out of here, if somebody wants to become a part of 100 Black Men, what's required of them and what do they need to know?
They can just send an they can go online and just go to 100 Black Men of America and just click on their local city and see where there's a chapter and then send an email info. But there's each chapter has the dues can vary. There's an interview process and then there's a commitment. Everyone has to mentor though. Everyone has to mentor because that's the staple of what we do.
Right. Well, we want people to take advantage of it. You saw the information that we've put on the screen to get in touch with Curtis as well as the 100 Black Men. Thank you so much for coming and sharing with us.
Always glad to be here.
Hey, good.
Thank you so much.
Enjoy the summer, man.
Hey, I'm enjoying it, and hopefully it's not over yet.
It's not over.
It's a little chilly, but hopefully it's not over.
It can't be over. Not for me. All right. Well, listen, we thank Curtis for joining us. We thank you for joining us, too. If you want to find out more information about 100 Black Men, of course, you have that information at the bottom of the screen that you can be able to tap in and do that. For all of us here on the Set of Perspectives, I'm Darren Hyman saying thanks for watching. Until next time we meet, stay safe, share your perspective with somebody else. You never know, it just might make a difference in somebody else's life.
Anything relevant to life, you bring it to the table. Whether you make a move solo or a movement with a stable. No fables, you speak on your decisions. Cause in the long run, it's your voice, your views, your vision. Keeping it real with many messages for you to know. This ain't radio, but DJ runs the show. Entertainment, he rocks it. Politics, he locks it. The host with the most would handle any topic.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello? That's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go.